Hey everyone, my name is Joe Garcia. I'm a lead DevOps here at Prudential Financial. I've been in this industry in IT for 35 plus years now. I'm an old soul or a young soul in an old body. And here with me, I have my coworker Peter Ho.
Hello, I've been with Prudential for 25 years. Focused on governance, risk, compliance, Prudential for DevOps, and also really enabling and figuring out solutions for our development communities at Prudential.
All right. So Prudential has its own set of challenges, given that it's a large and old company. 150 years old means you got a lot of legacy stuff going on. We're also now diversified across markets due to globalization and everything. And everything in there has its own distinct needs. We have had a goal of centralizing DevOps for a while, and that's why I'm here and Peter's here. But we have to be aware that there's a lot of stuff that we have to deal with. We deal with everything from COBOLs to LLM initiatives. We've got multiple varied languages, infrastructures, frameworks, methodologies, and all of our infrastructure is shaped by how legacy systems interact with them. Legacy systems are not flexible, and they've been something we've had to work very hard to integrate. Why do feature flags matter to Prudential? Well, we have lots and lots of customers that are constantly trying to get their financial data, be it through insurance, retirement, investing, and rolling out full releases and full amount of code in one shot is always extremely risky. Feature flags have reduced that risk greatly for us and made a better environment for our customers. We've also found that there was a synergy with the containerization where we would have everybody creating containers that were, one Docker container would have, Node.js in it, the other one have a Python or whatever, depending on what that application needed. Feature flags allows them to put that all into one container and then simply go and deploy that one container, and then based on those feature flags, mutate or change that container to what they need it to be.
So why Unleash? So Prudential started our journey with Unleash about a year ago. During that time, we evaluated about 4 competitors in the feature flag space. Ultimately, we went with Unleash, mostly because the team was willing to engage and collaborate with us. A lot of the other competitors were focused on the startup space and the small to medium business space. As Joe covered, the enterprise space is not simple. It's not, something started 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We're going back with 50 years of legacy code and trying to figure out how all the stuff works together. And again, acquisitions and mergers or reorgs, etc. There's lots of teams that have different needs and concerns. So that's the challenge of enterprise. It's the variousness and the age and the pulls and pushes of different organizations. We needed a company to partner with us to solve these problems with their tool.
Absolutely, and Unleash is definitely the right choice. So driving adoption at scale. So with all these diverse use cases, we've got to handle all these teams that are running agile. They've got their own tools. They've got this. We've had internal tools handling feature flags, actually, believe it or not. What we need to do is we need to get our company to an app-centric model, not a teams-based model, not a person-based model, because the app is what sticks. People come and go, teams get reorged, and all this other stuff. So we had to make sure that when we created our projects in Unleash, they were all based on applications, not teams. It gets each of those applications / projects within Unleash gets a consistent set of roles and rules. This way they're all within compliance, within what we're expected to from our auditors and everything else. But the most important thing I think we need to point out here was that our customers, since feature flag is new to them, had a zero barrier for onboarding from day one. We'll go into that in a little bit.
So being enterprise, we have to do being a centralized organization and enterprise, funding is important. It's not like startup world asks the CEO gives us money, we're off. So one of the big challenges we have at enterprise space is that we're providing a service to our internal customers. And the challenge, of course, is like Joe mentioned, we have various teams. And the most extreme is, again, Joe mentions the mobile application teams where We have a team of a dozen developers building applications that are used by millions of users. But the enterprise, there's a lot of internal work where we have lots of internal developers, very low API, not very low, but not in the million levels, but the hundreds per day level API calls. And the charge model of most companies, vendors, we support one or the other, not both. So we worked with Unleash, and they listened to our concerns and helped us establish a framework that we can then scale by user seats, number of developers, the number of call volumes, and the server usage. How many clients do we have installed on machines? That allows us to monitor and to do chargebacks properly, regardless of the team and application shape. We can charge accordingly as well. And this model allows us to scale pretty well, tuning the number of seats, number of call volumes, and number of servers. And that allows us to grow without much financial friction. And a good starting, we start our base and we grow upwards pretty easily, and each team grows at their own speeds now.
Yep. I suppose it was a huge part of why we decided to go with them. So how did we do this? Well, we need to basically create a cast, which is configuration as code. And Unleash had a lot of Terraform already set up for us, and we were ready to go. The most important thing that we wanted, as I said, was ease of onboarding, ease of use, was that when they log into our centralized development, our DevOps platform, which we call PruPath internally, they are automatically set up in Unleash. It is completely adminless. When a customer signs up through the console on our PruPath console, bang, they instantly have it, whether they need it or they don't need it. When they get charged for it, though, that is entirely when they start logging in, start looking at stuff, start using feature flags. And that has been, so far, working really well for us. Okay, so the extensibility. Peter, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So being enterprise, there are established systems in the enterprise ecosystem. And being so large, we don't, as a centralized DevOps teams, that's not our responsibility. One of the major areas is change control management. Internally, we use ServiceNow, which is a big in enterprise space, and a feature flag being toggled in production. Our risk officers and our compliance officers sat down with us and we said, that is a change. A release is a change. And we have a change management system that we must integrate to. So when we do changes in production or release in production, that needs to be tracked. However, as a developer, I don't like tickets. So as an organization, Joe, we'll show them our solution around this concept.
All right. So Unleash has its own change control system built specifically for the feature flags and, putting into prod. And we automated that, got all those rules right and everything like that. But it is a software as a service for us. And being an enterprise, it's kind of hard for us to stand an external API up that's going to sit there and wait for the webhook to reach it and get it out. It's not that it's technically challenging. It's really paperwork and in red tape and working with all these teams, because it takes a lot to get stuff outside with good reason because of security concerns, and make that available. So we had to come up with an alternate solution. I think originally what we were doing is, because we're getting the logs into an S3 bucket, was we were going to scrape the logs. But working with Unleash and their support, we actually came up with a better idea, which is we actually query Unleash from a Lambda every 5 minutes, and we say, hey, give us all the events that happened that showed that a change was implemented. Okay, so from that we take that and we transform that data. We time it appropriately. We put in a proper message, and we basically feed that into our service now using a template. What essentially this does is developers go into Unleash, they go into the console, they say, hey, I want to go and make this change. It needs an approval. They go through the approval. Everything goes through Unleash. As soon as the change, whether it's scheduled or not, it knows that the change happened, and we'll put it into our change system. And so far, that's been working pretty good for us, and it's really effectively kept us and the developers out of getting into the weeds with a lot of this stuff.
And I want to go back to that one, Joe, if you don't mind.
All right, yeah, no worries.
So what that means is when a developer inside the Unleash portal, through the API, through Jira, through the web portal,
Yep.
A requester hits a request. Hey, I want to toggle production change in the UI itself or the API. That state change inside Unleash triggers an event to create the change ticket into
Yep.
ServiceNow. Developers don't see it. When the
Yep.
production change, then the approver hits the change and says, go ahead. We then close the ticket. The change has started occurring. So
Yeah.
again, we basically made our two systems in parallel. So developers never have to see ServiceNow because they use
Yeah.
the tool natively, but it happens. And our auditors, our control processors are happy because they have the
Yep.
proof of evidence of why the change occur, and all the downstream systems can be aware of those situations. And that was a must-have for us.
Yeah.
As again, doing enablement for developers, I want to understand, sit in the seats of the developers, understand what they have to deal with. And more tickets is never the answer. So
No.
that's the compliance stuff that Joe sort of undersell. Like it's invisible to developers.
Yeah, it really is, and it's funny that you mention events. I'm a little bit more tooled up on the technical side of things here. The we're using. I mean, essentially we have one Lambda that sends out an event that goes to an SQ that then kicks off. In that SQ each of those event messages for the change implementation kicks off, and then it essentially picks up a specific item within the queue, and then it will then push that to ServiceNow with appropriate time and date. It also has plenty of links in there back to the actual change within Unleash, and making it easy for both auditors and teams to find out what happened by looking through their own logs within ServiceNow, because that is the official place that we record everything. All right. Anything else you want to add here, Peter, or are we going to move on to the next? All right. Cool. All right. So, overcoming enterprise challenges. Well, what we did here was we showed that you have to make, adoption. We showed that, we had to make it easy for adoption. We had to make sure the chargebacks were there, that operation and support was ready for long term, and that the most important thing I think I would say is that we really had to go through and figure out what we need to integrate with and work with Unleash on that, and we came up with some great plans. That's all I got. Anything else to add, Peter?
No, that's it. I mean, these are our challenges. I think any tool that we have, any tool out there, this is the challenge. Being a centralized service provider to thousands of developers, getting our tools out there, getting them to use it, get them to pay fairly, and not think it's too expensive, and make it for ourselves easy to run and support. And last but not least, hook up the systems, because you can't launch without all the requirements for productionalization. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter and Joe. Those are some really fun insights, and really love the way you created this barrier-free, basically admin-less onboarding process. It's definitely the quality of life improvement that really drives adoption. It was great to see. Maybe let's start with that topic, this automation that you have in place with Skim and PruPath. So how many engineers can now access Unleash using that?
As long as they are added to the right application AE group, they should be able to access without issue, and they have full control over what each end user gets in their project as far as permissions are concerned through that process. How many do we have at this point in time? We're still onboarding here.
So what it is we're doing a internal migration to a new platform. Unleash is part of the new platform. So basically, every engineer who migrates to our new DevOps platform gets Unleash included, ready to go. So right now we're at about 1,200 full adoption of a full and we just started migration about 3 months ago. Full adoption is closer to 4,000 to 7,000 developers.
Wow, nice. And what made you include Unleash in this new stack?
The demand's there. It makes sense. As our new platform moves, teams are moving faster, as agentic and AI assistants start coming online, teams are asking for, well, I want to release features more. How do I not break stuff? AI is there. If Unleash is there, feature flagging, and a lot of container work. Teams are building containers faster and faster, and it's cluttering the environment. Like we said, is Unleash is there as well. So all these use cases just kept starting like, and the other one is that it's a unified platform. So everything a developer needs is at their fingertips to use if they want to.
Nice. Do you have any questions, Ivar?
Yeah, you mentioned COBOL briefly. So how do you still have a lot of very important code running on COBOL? And does that mean that we have to build a COBOL SDK anytime soon?
Just work on it. He's been here long enough to have worked on COBOL.
Yeah, our core system of identity, all backed in somewhere along the way. COBOL, our mainframe is somewhere on some layer down deep somewhere in the platform is still there, running. Yeah.
Nice.
Always
we actually
have very common.
We had to actually build COBOL pipelines. Is one of the things we had to do. CI/CD for COBOL. Yeah, backlog.
Yeah.
I also found it quite interesting that you organize projects per application. And I was wondering what happens if there's features that exist across multiple apps. Is that a thing? How do teams coordinate with those flags?
So the challenge is what's an application? And I've never heard a great answer for that. And right now we're tied to CMDB, and we're pushing the CMDB organization to sort of help answer that. Applications have upstream dependencies and downstream dependencies, but if you don't map those explicitly, how do you show a relationship and how do you control things? Log in and remember to add things by hand isn't the way. Why do you have what's the relationship between applications? So that's a future state problem that we have. We haven't hit that problem. Well, we have the problem already today. We haven't solved it yet, and that's a bigger challenge. I think all enterprises have this challenge. Dependencies of application dependencies. So we're solving the basic problem of what do we have and who owns it and who's responsible for it.
And also to add to that, what we also see, obviously, for large enterprises like yourself, is that it's not a static thing. We have the idea of we need more microservices. We need to break up that monolith, and then I don't know, 2 months later, it's too small. We need bigger applications again. So it's kind of changing all the time.
Yeah. The note though is the application. We, as a DevOps team, we don't really care what's in an application. It's just a pointer to identifier, and all resources are grouped inside the identifier.
Yeah.
So it's a logical construct of stuff. And if teams want to split it, that's just rename the just update the repository tag. We have to update the repository tag on your behalf, and then not application split. So all security scanning, the cloud deployment, all DevOps tools, your environments are now split based on the tag.
Basically, what you're saying is that an application is not necessarily tied to a running process. It could be multiple running processes that are considered together as an application.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Makes sense.
And what are
holistic thing? The individual part works on its own.
And what are some of the things that, when it comes to your Unleash config, that you control centrally within the DevOps team? And what are some of the things that you let the developers in their application teams decide?
So overall, we have, like as mentioned, we have the cask, which does the base setup for the RBAC rules, everything like that. And then through skim provisioning, all the users get added in. Now, as far as permissions that are allowed within the project, we give them pretty good reign within the project to do whatever they want, as long as they're an owner. But we also apply the 4 Eyes principles and things like that, and have set up a lot of restrictions. Well, not a lot, but enough to keep them out of trouble. So this way they don't need to think about it. So it's been pretty simple to do once we figured out how to use the Terraform right.
Yeah, to add to Joe, what do we control? The project group, the project creation itself, the role groups in the project creation, and entitlements for those role groups. We don't care about membership. They manage the memberships themselves. We control environments. We don't really care too much, but the only environment we actually do care is the production environment. And that environment requires a requester and an approver. So you need two people to approve. Other than that, it's free. And we also provide some guidance around some recs around the naming convention of flags versus test 1, test 2, test 3. And then now 2 years later, test 72, technical debt. So we do provide some guidance on that as well. But again, we don't have hard restrictions. We hope the teams will learn and understand since we also have these namespaced. But overall, those are the things. Other than that, we let developers choose their own rollout plans, et cetera, et cetera. It's their tool, not really ours. Their tools to use.
Do you have some guidance on the flag cleanup or as well, like avoiding tech debt?
The hardest problem in feature flag, isn't it? The answer to that is it's really up to the application teams for the most part. The most we can do is report and inform and notify, but we can't break anything. We can't strip out stuff. Long term, an idea would be using AI to get the thing and start searching for it and give hints and open the PRs on their behalf. But that we're far away from that type of experimentation. Because the metadata is there there's enough context there to help, but we're not ready for that next level yet. And if Unleash wants to roll it out, go ahead. But if otherwise, we can build it ourselves. But we're not just there yet.
Yeah, I don't know if you were there for Ivar's presentation, but it's definitely something we're really thinking about.
Right.
Bringing more automation and AI as well. Yeah, let's see. Cool. I don't have any more questions. Ivar?
I think we covered most of the things, yes.
Yeah.
Great.
I missed the AI one. My recommendation there is MCP. The reason is because most companies do not want yet another a tool with AI built into it. They really want to run their own models and control around it. And some teams might want it, but our personal opinion is MCP is probably the better. Give us the data, so our models can make decisions of cleaning up using our internal processes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry.
Thank you both for the great talk. It was great to have you as speakers today. And I think with that, we'll wrap up UnleashCon. Do you have any closing remarks for us, Ivar?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that one. It has been an amazing day, and listening into customers is always giving so much energy. Hearing kind of the real use cases out in the field, it's inspiring. It means that we're solving a real problem for a lot of people in these various companies, and it gives me inspiration and courage to pursue this further and take kind of Unleash to the next level. And we have a lot of cool stuff that we are working on, new problems, new things to solve that are kind of more advanced use cases coming out of these customer interactions. And I'm just super excited about the future for Unleash, but also for all the great customers that have been here today. So I'm very grateful, obviously, for you, Joe and Pete, joining here today, but also for all the other customers that decided to share their story today. It was amazing.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And thank you to all of the attendees as well. We hope you had a good time. And if you missed any of the talks, then we'll be sharing the recordings on YouTube later this week. And yeah, we hope to see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Cool. Bye.
Take care.